Welcome Wargamers, this is Doug from 2 Plus Stuff, and today I wanted to break down milestone 2 of our ongoing Conquest First Blood painting. If you haven't been following along, essentially it's just a few milestones that I've thrown out there to keep coordination of my own painting progress for Conquest First Blood, the Conquest variant that is more of the skirmish style game that I personally enjoy more than the full rank and flank mass army battle. That's an opinion thing. But this is our second milestone in this, so we started off going 0 to 400 points. Now we're going 400 to 800 points. So by the end of this, we will have a functional list. And there is one more milestone after that, where it's really just about adding some variety. So in this video, I'm going to recap my progress with my 400 point list. I'm actually going to go through a little bit of a battle report, which I don't normally do on this channel, but I have some top-down shots of a 400 point battle I did with my buddy Robbie locally. We're going to check out his incredibly well-painted spire, so I'm excited for you to see that, and my models on the table. Then I'm going to outline some purchases that I made, because I'm very excited about a few things, how you can save money on them, and then we're going to talk about my 800 point list that I am building for milestone number 2. Before we get into all of that, if you would like to join along in our painting league, 800 points is very easy to paint up to for First Blood specifically. And so if you'd like to join on, you can check out the first video for more instructions on how to get started. But basically by November, I might have the dates wrong on that. This is all from memory, so if there's text here with a different date, there you go. But you can save 10% on all your purchases from Bellum to jump in with us by using the discount link in my description down below. It saves you 10% and goes an immensely long way to supporting the channel. The outreach that this has had and the impact that this event has had on my life, I cannot understate it. It's come at a really hard time for my family, and so the extra affiliate money from people using this link have been immensely helpful. Thank you, every single one. It's been a rough summer. With that being said, let's move into my pseudo battle report. So interspersed throughout here, you're just gonna see some cool shots that I thought looked compelling, and I wanted to put, and I might digitize them later, adding some special effects, but I had my 100 Kingdoms against a 400 point Spire list. My 100 Kingdoms was made up of what I've been building towards, so that's gonna be 2 units of men-at-arms, one with 6 dudes, one with 4, and then a noble lord on foot with 2 bodyguards. He doesn't really have many upgrades. And then a unit of mercenary crossbowmen to kind of shore up any weaknesses or kind of plink at targets from afar. The Spires list I was coming against was 2 really large units of drones, just the shield drones, just to stand out there and absorb the impact. There was 1 brute, and then a Pharaohmancer was leading them with 2 acolytes, I believe. These photos specifically come from turn 1 when me and Robbie are both like lining up. We originally had 3 objectives, 1 on each side of the board and then 1 in the dead center, and basically, you know, if you capture it, you get a point. Whoever has the most points at the end of round 5. It's just a little thing we made up because the missions that Bellum has are awesome, but they don't quite work well for 400 points when there's just a small handful of units. And so we basically gave up on the mission and just kind of turned into a slugfest, and give you a heads up there. But if you see like the treasure tokens and stuff, that's what we were fighting. So I had the 6-man unit of men-at-arms go to my left side, the 4-man unit go up the center, which you can kind of see here. There's a center objective there with the 4-man unit. And I had my noble lord with his bodyguard retinue kind of stationed behind just to shore up any weaknesses as they came up. From here you can see Robbie then moved up his drones just to secure the objectives or contest them. And over on the far flank, where I had nobody, was his brute. And of course you can see his Pharaohmancer back there. Here's a top view. I did one of these at the end of every single round, so this will pretty much be the standard going forward. But this is what the table looked like end of round 1. Just a lot of move actions and just kind of positioning. Now, there's going to be a bunch of photos like this, but the slogfest between drones and men-at-arms was it was pretty sad. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a bit sad, just because the men-at-arms would, they would deflect most of the damage that came at them. Their resolve is pretty good. I mean, against this kind of a unit, but the drones just kept coming back. And so even though the men-at-arms had the edge, man, they just didn't. They just couldn't. They got stuck in the weeds fighting these drone units. Same thing happened in the center of the board. So here's my 4-man unit. None of my guys really broke or died. And I mean, like, I had casualties, but like the units never like shattered or anything. We did go through his support rule as far as like he wanted to engage me to keep me off the objective, which was smart. But of course it came at the cost of, having to reroll 1 to hit. And yeah, it was just a mess. And so during Robbie's first turn, he brought the brute that was over here by this objective over behind, and he tried to punch my crossbowman. He killed 3 of them. So here's the last crossbowman, and this is important because he's my favorite. Okay, he earned a name this day. When that happened, I then activated my noble lord to come to the back, and the bodyguards killed him before the noble lord ever even had to pull out his sword. So good gravy. And at that point, we kind of realized, you know, we wanted to keep playing it out, but as far as objectives go, there really wasn't a way to make this work, because at this point, at the 400 point mark, Rob's list had no, like, the Ferromancer can do some cool things for the units, but like your basic drones are not thrashing through things aggressively. So at this point, we just kind of just started having loosey-goosey fun with it. My noble lord, basically, since he was over here now, did a wide sweep off the side of the board and came toe-to-toe with his Ferromancer and 2 Acolyte. Now, full disclosure, this fight went on for way longer than it needed to. The first round that they were engaged, so I did a move and a charge just to get in combat to pin him down. I was like, okay, I got you now, right? There's no backing out of this. And then the next round, I whiffed like all of my shots, my hits, everything. It was terrible, y'all. And so what should have been a very quick knockout ended up being like a multi-round slog, because I lost all the inertia from my charge there. And as you can see, I had my crossbowman, who now only has 1 wound because he got shot at by the Ferromancer. There's an artifact that gives him a gun, basically. He moved over to secure the objective here, and with that, it generally became round to round, these 2 would kind of switch hands, but I always secured 1 over here. And this is pretty much where the game went on for a bit. Like, I just went through like 4 pictures. There's 5, right? Yeah, there's 5. You can see very little is changing. The only reason you know it's different is because I moved the crossbowman up and into the terrain. But I kept killing guys or drones, and he would bring them back. Like, there was 2 casualties on the left unit. He couldn't kill a single one in the center. They had some hot rolls for a second there, and by that last round, I had taken out the 2 acolytes. Me and my bodyguards were surrounding his Ferromancer, and things were looking grim indeed. I'm just gonna hold it on this screen here for some reminiscing, and I wouldn't mind it, please, folks. This is a positive hobby environment. Leave some feedback from my buddy Robbie. These are some great looking Spire. If you like the way they look, let us know. So about the actual game, 400 points is, I think, the fantastic size for learning the rules of the game. I really do. If you just want to start with First Blood for $50, you get a taster set, and that's generally speaking around a 400 point army. Okay, it might be a little bit higher, a little bit low, but it's somewhere. And so that's a great way to learn the basic mechanics of the game. You have like 3 to 4 different regiments to activate, depending on how you kit them out. And it's just fun. And now the problem with that, though, is that things are so confined that, generally speaking, can't have any units with real teeth to them. Like, I didn't have a whole lot of cleave. I had some shooting, of course, with the crossbowmen, but it was not terrific. I think they did 2 wounds the entire game. So it was a lot going on. I personally love the start of my list. I feel like with my 400 points, much like the Spires here, it was spent basically making your footline troops that are supposed to die, right? I mean, they're just a meat shield. That's all that they want to do is the drones, and my men-at-arms are the same way. You exist to go hold the objective, clog things up, or play defense. What's fun about the 800 point mark is that now we can start adding in things that solve problems or pose problems to your opponent and ask them questions on if they can handle something. And so I had a wonderful game. Rob said he had a great time. We didn't play a second one just because it was very loud in the store that we were playing, and also, like, it was going to end the same way, right? Because all he has is chaff units, and most of my men-at-arms are chaff units, and except for my 1 wrecking ball of Noble Lord. So as long as that can be free, or whatever it touches is going to explode. So, I mean, it was kind of worked the same way. But I think it was a super fun game, and I can't wait to see what the Spires bring. I know he's toying around with the idea of doing the Abomination, which sounds awesome. I would love to see it, and I'm excited. And what we're going to do now is move into the purchases that I made and kind of talk about my goal, rather, for the first 800 point list of Conquest First Blood. So here we are. We have a local store that offers Conquest stuff, and I try very hard to support local stores. If you have one, please go there. If not, hey, I have an affiliate code to save you some money. But always support local. They had a Hunter Cadre, which is a kit that I love. These models are absolutely terrific. I'll try to remember to throw some pictures up here on the screen. So those can also be built as longbowmen, so we have some options there. I have like the core starter set, like that came with the 100 Kingdoms and Spire. Rob took the Spire, I have the 100 Kingdoms. But we were missing some of the bases. I mean, I'm sure we just lost it in the shuffle, but so I got some cavalry bases so I can have my household knights. And then there's this guy. Now, one thing that I have not been doing that I am going to do now that we're playing quote-unquote full-sized games, the army ability for the 100 Kingdoms is that they get a free officer, okay? Now, they didn't have an officer for any units that I can take, fortunately, at the store. I had this Drill Master kit, and I love his pose and his stance, and so what I'm planning to do is take this model, cut up the arm and the head specifically, and modify him with extra bits from the Hunter Cadre kit to make him a seasoned veteran. A seasoned veteran that's going to attach to one of the men-at-arms units. Basically, the seasoned veteran can give them a better defensive ability, so on the 6-man unit, when they dig in, they can hold the objective in a meaningful way. So that's my goal with this guy. I love the model. He's a officer that attaches to things like the Gilded Legion, Household Guard, or something like that. There's a bunch of like more elite units that I don't really have an interest in. I would much rather do like Knights and Squires and stuff. So he is going to be my kit bash, because I figured if all I need is a model anyway, I'll just pick one of them and convert it up. That's basically my stance on most things. But with this, I will be able to make my complete 800 point list. Let's go check that out. And here we are, built from the Bellum list builder. I love this thing. Please pay no mind to the warning that says total points exceeded. It's over by 20 because the list builder does not account for the free officer that I get as being a 100 Kingdoms army, and 20 points is exactly what that officer costs. So I'm at 800 points exact, so pay no mind to the warning sign. We have the same unit that I've been running, the Noble Lord, with 2 bodyguard. I really do like them quite a bit. They are a fantastic support for him. One of the things that I was doing wrong was I thought you only got 1 weapon art. It's actually 2. So he has Brawler, which is +1 cleave, and Relentless, which I believe is flurry. So it just makes him a much more deadly character in combat. Icon of Saint Lazarus is good for everyone kind of in a general area. I'll get to that in more a bit. And then Indomitable Plate just makes him more resistant. So the whole idea is all of this between Brace, his bodyguards with the shield ability, him with the Indomitable Plate, yeah, all those things. It's a nasty unit to have to deal with. No opponent wants to throw a unit into it. For the regiments, of course, I still have the 6-man men-at-arms, but here's my seasoned veteran. And interlocking shields is his ability. He gives them to be more chonky on an objective. That's exactly what I want. I have a 4-man unit of men-at-arms, which, I might paint up a few more just to have the ability to bump this up when it comes to my the 3rd milestone of like having option. But the truth is, I love having a 4-man men-at-arms unit because they're so cheap that I don't mind piece trading with them. Like, I'll throw them up forward, let them get charged and probably wiped out, but from there I can begin to exchange pieces, right? That's when the shooting comes in, because now a unit has been pulled too far forward. It's bait. That's all it is. I still have my mercenary crossbowman. Again, Barrage 2. I was actually playing this as Barrage 1 when me and Robbie played, so that is good to know. Little addition bleed from the main game to First Blood. They are different profiles, so remember that. And then I have 2 household knights. Now, this is an interesting thing that a few people have brought up to me, okay? Why would I have 2 household knights instead of 1 unit of 2 household? And the reason being, if you add a second knight to an existing unit, it costs 80 points rather than 110. So there's actually very real savings. Now, the reason that I like having 2 household knights specifically is the brutal impact and the shield. I'm not looking for them to kill anything. I'm looking for them to be threat missiles that my opponent has to deal with. Otherwise, they're going to get into your backline and mess up your archers or anything like that. Like, they're just making you look. It's threat saturation, right? And they both move very fast with a movement of 8. They're going to be wherever they want to be, very aggressively, very quickly. And again, the real core of the army is the men-at-arms wall that's trouncing up the field with the hammer unit of the noble lord behind. If you go after the horses, I'm gonna pivot to whatever direction or whichever flank was opened up and secure objectives that way. That's the idea. You know, it might pan out terribly, but hey, I have two household knights painted in the next milestone. I can make lists where there's multiple, you know, but I just wanted some freedom. That's all. That's all. I wanted some freedom to be able to have multiple missiles incoming, to pull my opponent in different directions or make them sweat a little bit. And anytime you have to make someone make tough choices, like say pulling a unit out of combat to go reinforce your hero in the back line who just got charged, even if the knight's not going to do anything, you can put people on tilt, and that's good. That's good for winning. And the last thing here that we're adding is 5 of the Hunter Cadre. They are Barrage 1, 15 inches, Armor Piercing 1, Cleave 1, Fearless, Fiend Hunter. I'm excited to get these guys in the list. Someone pointed out how on earth can they cost, I think it's almost exactly as much as the Mercenary Crossbowman, if I'm not mistaken. I have no idea. It's all crazy to me, but anyway. Hunter Cadre are fantastic at this point in the game. Just with their clash value of 3, they don't really have a ton of attacks when it comes to shooting or melee, but the fact that they can do both, firing as they move up and then ultimately making a really nasty charge with Cleave 1, it's going to be awesome. So I'm very excited for these guys, and the idea is just look for weaknesses, just get them as much as you can. So that is my update / pseudo battle report for milestone 2. I'm going to be coming back up with a few more live streams regarding painting all of these things up. I'm very excited. Again, Conquest has just been an absolute blast, and I'm really excited to see it take off in my area. Thank you again to everyone who's used that affiliate link in my description below. It is life-changing stuff, and if you're looking for anything from Bellum, please consider using it, or more importantly, support your local store if they carry. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll catch you next time. Happy wargaming.